I would like to ask the Minister for Environment, Food and Agriculture whether he's considering supporting the development of a return scheme for plastic bottles.
On this occasion, call on the Minister for Environment, Food and Agriculture to reply.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. Thank you for raising a positive suggestion regarding plastics recycling. I'm heartened by the public and private responses that we have seen to the issue of waste in our seas, and my department is currently working on a strategy to reduce single-use plastics within government in order to put our own house onto a more sustainable footing in line with the principles of UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. The bottle return scheme has been launched in the UK. It's a pilot scheme, and I will watch this with interest. I will, however, wholeheartedly support projects that carry us towards sustainability in our island life by reducing waste, reusing it, and increase the levels of recycling on the island where this is feasible, noting that we have to take account of our particular island situation and the size of population. It might become practical in the Isle of Man if a full UK scheme were implemented to piggyback off that. However, it is important when considering a scheme of this nature to acknowledge that currently most of these products are incinerated on the island and the energy they contain is mostly converted into electricity. Ironically, a scheme of this nature on such a comparatively small scale could actually require more energy and increase carbon gas emissions, although the other aim might be to reduce the amount of plastic in the environment, and once again the incinerator does that very efficiently. This is therefore something I will continue to monitor and consider carefully for the future.
Supplementary question, Mr Moorhouse.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Deputy President. Given the opportunities that lie in this area and the popular movement that's going on at the moment, has the Minister considered having a consultation so that rather than always responding to what's happening across in other countries, we can get ahead of the curve and hence our biosphere status?
Minister to reply.
Thank you. Our plastic strategy, which is in formation at the moment, has a number of action items for government. Particularly the Chief Minister is keen that we get ahead of the game, or at least on a level playing field of what's happening elsewhere, and the strategy throughout government will be rolled out in the near future, so we are making progress in that respect. The next stage of that is to move towards obviously the public generally, and I acknowledge there is great support for reducing the amount of plastic, and that is our aim. But we have to be careful that we don't do things in a knee-jerk way that ends up costing us a lot of money and doesn't achieve anything from an environmental perspective. The Isle of Man is fairly clean as an environment at present. We want it better, and I, for one, and I'm sure everyone in this honourable court would like to see less plastic used.
Supplementary question, Ms Edge.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. I'm just wondering whether the Minister is aware of schemes that have taken place in schools within the UK where they've had plastic bottle recycling machines, and then the material from that can be utilised for creating school blazers, for example. Has he looked at that, and perhaps that could be a good pilot for the island, considering how many plastic bottles of water, etc., are drank in our schools?
Well, we are obviously trying to reduce the amount of single-use plastic bottles per se as part of the Biosphere Champion's job. She has been visiting schools, and we have an ongoing education programme with regard to plastic bottles and single-use plastic. So we are making progress there, and I think children particularly are easy to recruit in this respect, and that feeds through to their parents as well. I'm not aware of the scheme you indicate. I will make a note of that and I will research it. Thank you.
Supplementary, Dr Allinson.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. Would the Minister agree that one of the key fundamentals here is to reduce the amount of plastic used in the first place, therefore reducing the need for recycling, sometimes which can be extremely costly, and as you previously said, can involve excess use of energy? And surely one of the ways of doing this would be to encourage people to use reusable containers, use water fountains, and also reusable cups for things like coffee. And would the Minister agree that part of the overall strategy is to reduce the use in the first place, rather than try to make up get rid of the damage once it's been done?
Minister to reply.
Thank you. I can't help but agree with that strategy, and part of our ongoing strategy that we're looking at the moment is looking at reusable cups, containers. My department particularly is very good at this. We don't use any plastic cups or containers, but we have kitchenettes and we have proper cutlery and cups, and obviously they're washed up. I know some departments it's more difficult, but we're certainly looking at that. But you are absolutely right. The essence is we need to reduce the amount of plastic that people are using. And I think at long last, retailers and manufacturers are getting on board with this. As a small island community, it's difficult for us to drive manufacturers, but we can play our part on an island basis.